Welcome to Significant Coaching. I'm Matt Rogers. Thanks for coming back. I've got a really special episode for you today. And as I've told you, this is a selfish podcast for me because I get to talk to all the coaches I love, all the people I love. And it's not just because I love them and we're friends. It's I have deep rooted respect for the people that I bring on. Um, some I know really, really well, and some I just, from an outsider's perspective, I respect how they go about their business, how they run their program, how they teach, how they coach. And I get excited about talking to other coaches that do it really, really well because I want to do it better. I want to do it really, really well. So today's episode is a special birthday episode because the person that I'm having on, this is her birthday week. And I've known her entire life. And I mean, literally her entire life. Um, I, I'll let the cat out of the bag. My niece, Samantha Birkicht, is the head coach, head volleyball coach at the University of Wisconsin at Platteville. And she has rebuilt that program in what is probably the strongest women's volleyball conference in the country at the Division III level. She's built that program up to back-to-back 20-win seasons. And if you're a high school coach or you're a college coach at any level where you play 25, 30 games, that 20-win season is so hard to get to. It's so hard. Um, at Division I basketball, they play sometimes 40 games. So to win 20 games, to go 20-17, 20-14 at the Division I basketball, it's a little bit easier. When you're talking about Division III, where you're only playing 25 days, okay, to win 20 games is amazing. And then to do it in back-to-back seasons is really remarkable. And that's what Coach Birkicht, Sam, has done. And it's been so fun to watch. We talk a lot. We talk about our program a lot. We talk about leadership a lot. And I wanted to have her on to talk about all those things. But what you'll hear me talk about very early on in the podcast is her and her husband do something that I think is remarkable. And it's something I'm really envious of. I'm stealing as much as I can from them. They have built this world-class social media program for their volleyball program. The things that they've produced, the things that they do, it's not just pictures, it's not just videos. It's stuff that if you watch Ted Lasso, and I'm a huge Ted Lasso fan, if you watch Ted Lasso, it's the kind of things you would expect the Ted Lasso producers to put into the show. That's how good their social media is. It's entertaining. You get to meet the girls, you get to meet the coaches, you get to see their community, and it's so much fun. And if you're a coach, if you're a head coach, and you're trying to just nibble a little bit in the world of social media, give your program a little bit more national attention, regional attention. If you're a college coach and you're trying to get recruits just to, look your way and put you on their list, Sam and what Ryan, her husband, are doing with the social media at UW-Platteville is must-see social media. And I encourage you to follow UWP Volleyball and just take a look at it and just go through some of the videos that they've put together and how they celebrate their team, how they celebrate their kids, how they celebrate their community, just being together and what it means to them. And it just looks fun. It looks like the type of program you want to be a part of. So really excited. I get to have this conversation with Sam. I get to share it with you. And we dive into some pretty hefty topics. You'll see about the 35, 40-minute mark. I talked to her about the huge differences between being a man and a woman running a program. Because she's still a young coach, she's in her mid-30s, but, she's still having babies. And she's got two young boys, and she's going to have a little girl here in the next few months. And trying to run a program, which I've never had to do. I've never had to run a program being 9 months pregnant. I've never had to deal with the nausea and the pain and the heavy back and the heavy legs. And so for me, I'm always impressed with any coach that runs a program, but when you're taking on being a mother, being pregnant, I just think that's something that we don't talk about enough. And I don't think our female coaches that have families get enough respect. Not that being a male coach, I've got 2 of my own kids. I'm married. We drive our kids all over the place. We have school every morning. We have club, we have lessons, we have things that my kids have to go to. So I play a huge role in that, but it's nothing to what my wife would have had to do if she was a head coach, and to have to do all those things and be pregnant and to deal with all the things that women have to deal with when you're mothers. So I wanted to dive into that because I'm impressed by it. I'm proud of it. I think it needs our respect. I think administrators need to understand the difference. And not that there's a difference in how we coach and who we coach and how we go about our business, but the fact that they have that really huge extra responsibility to take on as a mother, especially someone that's going to give birth to a child. I wanted to bring that up because I'm really proud of the way Samantha's handled that over the years. Having 3 kids while being a head college coach is just amazing to me. And it's not a simple thing. It's not an easy thing. And I wanted to talk about it. So we talk about leadership. We talk about lots of things. But the first 15 minutes or so, we really dive into social media. So if you're interested in growing your social media, growing your audience to your program, and you want to show off your program a little bit, show off your kids, Sam is a great example. So without further ado, please enjoy this great conversation with Samantha Birkicht. And by the way, she wrote a chapter in my book. She wrote the closing of our social media chapter that I wrote, and it was brilliant, just brilliant. It really, I believe that her part, just the page and a half that she wrote for me at the end of my chapter on social media, I thought it was better than anything that I wrote. So if you're thinking about getting my book, Significant Recruiting, the Playbook for Prospective College Athletes, I have 12 college coaches that made a huge impact, and Sam is one of those. And what she wrote in social media, I think every parent needs to hear, every high school coach needs to hear, and every student athlete needs to hear. So enjoy, Coach Birkicht. I know I did. Bye-bye. Samantha, we've known each other for a few years.
Yeah.
How long have we known each other?
37.
Yeah.
37 years.
I've known you a little longer than that. Just so our audience knows, we are related. You're my niece, my brother's daughter, and I'm extremely proud of you.
Thank you.
So I want everybody to know that this is a very selfish podcast because I get to bring on all the people that I love and care about and respect. And my pride in you obviously started when you were born, so that's never left. You've always made our family extremely proud, and you've built a great family for yourself. But I want to jump right into what I think you do better than anybody else in the country. And I mean that at every division level, every sport. I think you are a role model for the 21st century on how to market your program. And I want to talk about your social media.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. So I want people to understand, when you started this, you didn't have any followers on Instagram, right? You started with
0.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you now have 29,700 followers on Instagram. Did you know that number?
Yeah, I did. It crawls really fast now, so it changes on the daily.
And it's going to keep growing. It's going to quadruple at some point very, very quickly. So I have a favorite Instagram post, and I think you know which one it is.
Yes, it's everybody's favorite right now.
It's so good. And if you're not following UW Volleyball or UWP Volleyball, did I get it right? UWP Volleyball on Instagram. Even if you don't have an Instagram account, get one. Just follow UWP Volleyball. And my favorite post that you guys have done is for your senior night.
Yeah.
All your seniors lined up in the net, and it was Backstreet Boys and something like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Backstreet Boys. Yeah.
Some
NSYNC. I can't
insane.
remember. I know
I
it's
can't
a
remember what it
boy
is either.
band from the 90s. Yeah.
But they're singing. It's gonna
It's gonna be me.
right.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it goes to each of your seniors, and they shake their head, and then there's little Coach Burkett and the end, and it comes to you, and it says, "Who will cry first at senior night?" It's you.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, there's companies that spend $10 million for a Super Bowl commercial that's not as good as that.
Yes.
And I know your husband Ryan
Yep.
is the big producer for a lot of this, right?
Yes, he actually will constantly ask me to be in videos, and I don't like it, and so I'll always find ways to weasel out of it. But the seniors, man, if they ask me,
Yeah.
my heart for them. So they were like, "Coach, you have to." So of course, the one video that I'm in is just blowing up.
Viral. I mean, you have 85,000 likes.
Yeah, I know.
85,000 likes for
Yeah.
that one video.
Yes, I know.
All right, so let's talk about the genesis. Where did it begin? Where you and Ryan were having a conversation that said, "Let's do this." Where did it start?
Yeah, to be honest, it started in my interview. When I went in, I really thought, like, what are the top 3 things I need to build to make this program,
Yeah.
grow it? And one was the marketing and social media. There was just nothing there. And so I knew that was, it was just going to get bigger. And that was going to be the key to progressing our program, especially like in the recruiting realm of things.
Yeah.
So then when me and Ryan sat down, this is not my strength, is marketing, even though I knew we needed it. And a lot of D3 is finding the resources. We don't always have the finances or the people on campus. And so, I'm so lucky to have Ryan because he doesn't only love me, he really loves the team. And he bought into, like, a lot of the male sports get more donations, more resources. And so he has a passion. He was like, I want to put a women's sport, you know, I want to make them be seen. I want to make the girls feel special. I want to give them something that other programs don't have. And so we kind of sat down and wrote goals for it. Our first goal was like meeting 1,000 followers that year, so it's been funny to hit our goals. Like every year we sit down and like, what goals are we hoping to meet?
It's great.
Yeah, so we have 3 avenues. We have alumni, we have recruiting, and then we have team. And so all of our avenues are that for everything we do.
That's so great. And it's so well done. I'm telling you, if Ryan ever wants to get out of his industry and just do social media consulting, he would make more money than he knows what he could do with.
I know.
And I consult. I have other universities that'll bring me in to coach the coaches and work with their athletic department. And I have started showing them your Instagram clips and saying, this is who you can be. This is how you message your program in a simple way. It's not time consuming.
No.
Talk to me about empowering your players with marketing the program. What do you give them in terms of them being creative and coming up with some of these ideas to help you?
Yeah, I mean, like Ryan and I, as much as we want to think we're cool, we really don't know what that age group and younger wants to see or care about. And so a lot of the ideas come from our girls. And quite frankly, everything we do in our program is a lot of player led, we'd be silly to think we know what they want. So we need their ideas. So they actually will DM, within our thing, they'll DM Ryan videos and ideas of what to do. And, we use them for many things, even empowering wise. When we post, it's a cultural thing too. We try to post all the players, not just the ones with the highest accolades, because, we know that in the culture, they all want, one thing is that they all matter, right? They all feel like they matter and their role matters. And one way to do that is to make sure we're showcasing everybody on social media. So awesome. Social media for that as well.
Yeah. I mean, I've been to a number of your games and got to see your girls play and spend a little bit of time with them, but I feel like I know them. I know their character. I know their personalities, and it's so fun. I see a mom or a dad, or I'll be working with a family. I'm working with a volleyball player right now. And I go, look at this Instagram. I go, when you're thinking about making that final decision, I take families through that process of, let's figure out who you are first. And then let's try and find a coach and a program and a school that fits you.
For
Let's
sure.
find that happy place. And I show them, I go, these are the type of things you want to look at. It's college coaches, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but college coaches aren't going to Twitter and Instagram to recruit.
Correct.
They don't have that time to go through social media to recruit, but it's a great way for you as a family to get to know that program on a higher level, that more than maybe a 3-hour visit's going to do. Will you agree with that?
Yeah, I think we're really blessed because Ryan knows my players, you know?
He does.
So I think that's why our Instagram is so genuine. I've seen a lot of Instagram pages where, they're showcasing their team, but it just feels very textbook feel. There's no, you can't really tell the team or the player's true character. And I think that's where we really hit a home run, but that comes a lot from just Ryan getting to know the players. So when he posts things, he really tries to meet their personalities. And I think that really shows on our social media.
It does. It's fantastic. Now, for anybody that doesn't know, you wrote a great piece of advice for me in my book, my chapter on social media. And I want to kind of bring those things up. You really focused on 4 points that I thought were just brilliant. They were concise. I don't know how much time you put into it, but for me, it's the centerpiece of my book. When I'm talking to people and I do a book, anytime I'm doing anywhere where I'm talking about the book, I tend to bring these things up.
Yeah.
Your number one thing about you told recruits about social media is to be authentic.
Yeah.
Walk me through that. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I think as a college coach, I see this as one of each player's first struggle in our program is, they go from being a senior or maybe a leader in high school with the same support system, and then they come to us and they're questioning a little bit about who they are, who they want to be as a leader, as a person, as a friend, and I feel like I always have the conversation of like, hey, there's a difference between growing and changing. We want you to grow here, but we don't want to change who you are, as a leader, as a person, as whatever. And so I want them to just like be authentic and be them because I recruited them because I got to know who they are and I loved who they are. And so, for social media, we know that plays into a lot of our players' confidence and a lot of our players' identity. And we feel that social media needs to play a part in them being proud of who they are, and that will filter through their entire life, So I think for me, that's my first point because, being comfortable to be who you are on social media, I want that to look the same in their everyday life, And so that's why I say that, because I know there's a lot of influencers now and a lot of people who try to put on a face on social media. And I just keep wanting to send that message because I've seen it play such a huge thing in like my, especially my players just trying to figure out the difference between growth and change. And so that's why.
I remember when Twitter was just coming out, I was coaching in St. Louis in early 2000s. It might have been 2003, 2004. I don't know how long it's been around.
Yeah.
But I remember my guys coming to me and saying, hey, coach, I'm starting this Twitter account. And I was just like, absolutely not. No way. No, we're not going to do any social media because I was just so scared of them being hurt.
Yeah.
And I probably didn't articulate it well to them why I was saying no. But I was so worried about them getting criticized and having to deal with that, just the things you're talking about. And you've kind of given me the confidence, and I've gotten the confidence over the years to really embrace social media. But then I have to also teach it. I have to teach how to use it if you're going to be on it at 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. This is what you have to expect, and this is how to use it the right way. So your next two pieces of advice in the book were be appropriate and find a proofreader. So what is where does that come from for you? And how do you get a 17-year-old to understand what appropriate means? How do you get them to take 2 seconds, say, hey, mom, would you look at this before I post it? Or, hey, older sister, big brother, would you look at this before I post it? How do we get kids to think that way?
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I tell recruits is if you won't add me because you're worried about a post, or, they think they can hide some posts, but that's not always true as well. I
Yeah,
say if you're questioning who you want to follow because of what you're posting, it's not appropriate,
right.
you know? So that's like the easiest way, simplest way to say that, but it ties into having a proofreader. You know, we talk about this as a program that you should have 2 to 3 mentors outside of the team. I do as well. You're one of them that you can call to talk, and someone who loves you, but who will be honest with you. And that's true for social media. The person who loves you but will be honest with you should be your proofreader.
Right.
And quite frankly, we have one for social media as well. She used to be our old AD, and I really look to her to ask her questions because what we think we're showcasing might not be true to who's outside of our team.
Yeah.
So, we do that as a team as well, but I think personally you need that person. And sometimes appropriateness, it just might be actually the word perspective. A 17-year-old's perspective of what they should be showcasing on their social media is going to be different than a head coach who's 35, 40 years old or older. And so it's good to have somebody older proofread because their perspective, you want a different perspective and somebody who will be closer to the age of a coach, if that is your goal in being recruited. So it could be appropriate, but it might just not be the right thing to post because of a different thought at an older generation.
Great advice. And I just talked to another coach the other day. I was a Division I coach, and he said, Matt, I've got an assistant coach that's he's a social media fiend.
Yeah.
He makes sure that he follows every kid we're recruiting. He knows everything they're on, and we track everything they do.
Yeah.
Everything. And he said, we'll go back 6, 7 years and look at everything. And I wrote the chapter that you wrote on was about social media and marketing in the book. And I started with a story of a kid that I got recruited, one of my clients, and best kid I ever recruited, best kid I ever worked with in my life. Everything that you would want out of kid, this kid had. Okay.
Yeah.
Priorities were straight. His faith and his family were his strength. He did everything right. He was the captain of the football, the basketball team, and the baseball team. And he did everything right. Everything I asked him to do, everything that we did together in his recruiting trail was perfect. And at the end, he had 25 schools recruiting him. He took the best offer for him. And then he went to a party his senior year.
Yeah.
Didn't drink, didn't smoke, didn't do any drugs. He had lemonade in a red Solo cup. Somebody took a picture of him and his friends, and he had a red Solo cup. In the background, you could see a bottle of booze, and you could see people, talking. And that kid that took that picture posted on their site, not his.
Yeah.
And because he signed at a Christian school that had very tight rules about drinking and smoking, his scholarship that would have paid for his entire education got rescinded. And that poor kid who just wanted one night to be with his friends, one picture affected his scholarship, and he lost that scholarship. So your fourth point in the book, your fourth point of advice was control your story.
Yeah.
So what's your advice to a mom and a dad and a student athlete about controlling their story? What does that mean? Does that mean we got to lock ourselves in our house and turn off the internet? What does that mean? Control your story.
There are some settings on social media. Can we control everything? No. I actually thought that chapter was a great chapter, not only for recruits, but for college coaches.
Yeah.
I thought that taught some lessons of recruiting, of just like assumptions and things like that. So that's why I really like your book. It's a recruiting book, but it's also great for coaches to read because there's some lessons in there for all of us as well. But controlling, there are settings there where like if somebody posts your name on it, you have to be notified. So you can delete or you can handle that right away. There's some where a post can't go up unless you've approved it, you know, and of course this is all in like the fine writing. But if you are going to have an Instagram and you are wanting to be a college athlete or quite frankly, just get a job later in life,
Right.
it's just now important to read the fine print. You know, it's just important to read the fine print. Now, I also think it's good to have conversations with the people around you. You know, that's one thing. I was a lot like that kid. I think I really connected with that story because I was that kid. I didn't do anything wrong, you know, but I still wanted to socialize. So I would go to things and just look like it because I wanted to be there, but not do any of the drinking or anything like that, you know?
Yeah, that was me. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I get that. And, you know, I became really good at telling everyone around me, don't post. I mean, I was a coach at such a young age, you
Yeah,
know?
sure.
So I was like, don't post anything with my face in it. I mean, I just was adamant to tell everybody that. And so can you control everybody? No, but I really think sharing that with people around you is okay to do. And it does help. You know, it does help that even now with a parent as my children, I ask that same question, you know.
Yeah.
And my sisters, brothers, all their aunts, uncles, grandparents will ask, hey, do you mind if I post this from your boys? But, you know, even as a parent now, I ask that because I don't want my kids' faces just blown up everywhere on everybody's
Right.
pages.
That's right. Yeah, and your Aunt
So,
Karen is the same way. I mean, the school sends out that form every year. Can we use your child for
yeah,
our marketing and on our website? And she always checks no. You know, there's so
correct.
many reasons that we do that. But we just have a great fear. They're not ready for that yet. We don't want somebody, and it's a school site, so probably nothing's ever going to happen of it. But we're really cautious of it at their age,
Yeah,
and it's
for,
a smart thing.
for sure. For sure. Yeah. So,
All right, let's talk program building a little bit. Okay.
okay. Sure.
Um, you you are starting to break through the ice of where you wanted to get with your program.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm starting a program brand new as well, and I'm going through the hardships that you went through 5-6 years ago.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. And I want anybody that's listening, whether you're an athletic director, whether you're a coach, whether you're a parent, whether you're a student athlete, whoever's listening to this, I want them to hear from you how hard it is, even if you've taken over a program that had a long history of success like you did. But when you have to start over, when you're building a program from scratch, how challenging it is because you can't just take over somebody else's culture. You can't take somebody else's philosophies. It has to be yours. So talk about that because you've taken over a program in probably the toughest conference in the country for women's volleyball, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't think
for
many people
sure.
are going to argue that.
No.
I mean, when you can consistently put the committee just dropped the ball this year, but consistently there's 3 or 4 teams that are in the national tournament out of that conference.
Yep.
You know that it's a great league. You've now won back-to-back 20-win seasons, which is remarkable. Any coach would cut off a finger to have that.
Yes.
Talk about what happened when you took the job to where it is now, and what have you learned about building that program?
Yeah. So when I took over, the culture was for sure the hardest thing to build. You know, I don't think we changed anything super fast. But even, you know, the smallest things, I got a lot met with, this is stupid. This is not how we did things. Um,
Yep.
um, you know, the list goes on and on. I had crying on the bench during games. Um, I had, you know, when we started getting really great recruits, you know, our starting lineup didn't stay the same, and they weren't used to that either. They were like, well, I feel like if I make a mistake, you just pull me. And I was like, in your recruiting meeting, I told you that if you want to join this program, you're going to be challenged every day, every game, and you've got to earn it, you know?
Right.
And they would say yes, but there's a difference between saying yes in that moment and then feeling what that feels like and going through that grit and that challenge, you know? And if they've never been through that, which my team hadn't. There's a lot of lessons and a lot of things to learn. And the truth is, us coaches can't teach it all. So you need to one of the advices you gave me a long time ago, Matt, that I hold on to dearly was, you need to build that silent army. So you can't get all 20 on the bus right now, but can you get 4, 5? And that's really how I built. I was like, okay, who are my examples? Who can I grow into that example? Who can I recruit as that example? And that's really how I built it, is that silent army is, okay, we have 4 now. And now they were working really hard in the off season. And luckily they were good.
Yeah.
So then my team's like, okay, I'm going to work hard in the off season, and it wasn't because I said work hard in the off season, because the first year it was me just saying it and them trying to buy into it. And it was tough. But then when you have players just doing it and being the example of it, now the whole team buys in, So little by little, I was able to build the program by growing examples on the team for others to follow.
Yeah, it's great. And you've done such a good job of finding those kids that you want to coach, that fit you. And I think that changes the culture really fast when you can bring in 2 or 3 of those kids that are going to be vocal, are going to do the right thing. They're going to look in you in the eyes and go, yes, coach, in front of the team. When you just yelled at them and just reamed them for making a mistake, they're going to look at you, yes, coach, I got to do it better. You're right. It's hard finding those kids these days. It's hard finding those kids that want to have that relationship with a coach that says, yeah, coach, I'll be the example. I'll be the role model. You can yell at me and I'm going to do what needs to be done to show my teammates the right way to handle that. Right.
I mean, for sure. When I first started recruiting, I think I recruited with fear. I was like, okay, a good player. I want to be great. Let's just commit to them.
Right.
And then I started, recruiting differently. I can't tell you how many players I've said no to that I've seen on the other side of the net. And I'm like, dang, they're kind of killing us right now. But I was like, but man, I didn't see them in the huddle. And I'm like, definitely don't want to handle that.
Yeah.
But I've crossed a lot more kids off with, if they roll the eyes, if they don't look like they're engaged in the huddles, it is a quick red line for me on my recruiting page.
Yeah. It's what you've done in terms of learning who you are.
Yeah.
And then learning to be true to that. We talked about being authentic with your social media. I think you have to, as a coach, and I'm going through this now, I've been coaching for almost 30 years, but I have to remind myself, okay, I have to be authentic to what I see. It's not working. We just lost 4 games in a row to 4 state ranked teams, but I'm seeing growth. I have to be true to who I am.
Yeah,
right?
For sure. Yeah. And that's the hardest part about building, is you're believing in something that might not all be there yet.
Yeah.
That's right. But that's also where your mentors come in and an amazing assistant coach comes in.
Yeah. It's so valuable. I look at the years that I've had, we went to the national tournament, or we won conference championships, and I always had an assistant coach that I could trust. And that was so important to me this year when I took over a program. We don't have any money. There's, we're practicing at 3:30. I don't have any teachers that can do it. So I'm bringing in people that work for a living. Yeah. And I convinced the guy that I know really, really well, and I've coached with him before, and I knew he was going to come in and I could step off the floor and there was still going to be discipline. There was still going to be preciseness. We were still going to get things done when I wasn't in the gym. And that was so important to me to have. And you've got that now. You want to talk about your system a little bit?
Oh my gosh, I struggled with him, definitely opposite of me, but I really took a lot of time figuring out what questions I wanted to ask when I hired him, because I didn't want just somebody who knew the X's and the O's. I needed somebody who would challenge me, but appropriately, who would, we all have different communication styles. I needed a different communication style than me for the team, but I also needed one that was good with me. So when we had hard conversations, we could actually get somewhere.
Right.
So yeah, he's been amazing. We've been together for 5 years, which I just think is a blessing, especially at huge. The D3 level. But he's the opposite of me in so many great ways. So I always say, hire someone who's not like you, but who will buy into you, and and your vision, because you want somebody who won't question, but will challenge you. And I think there's a difference in that.
There really is. There really is. And to find somebody that understands that line and,
yes.
and can be consistent with that line is really hard to find.
For sure.
Especially when you can't give them $65,000.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
I talked to another D3 coach yesterday that coaches women, and I talked to him about his philosophy on recruiting. He kind of said the same thing you did. When it started out, it was all about where's the best talent? Where's the best talent? And he goes, now I'm 25 years into this, and talent is like the fifth thing I'm looking for. So I'm going to give you his three things that he looks for, and I want to get your opinion on. He said, my number one thing is academic fit. Can this kid come in, get a degree, fit our academics, and handle the level? Number two, do they like the sport? He goes, it's so amazing. You find a kid that was first team All-State in volleyball, and you love the way she plays, and then you start talking to her, and she really doesn't like volleyball. You know what I mean? He goes, so it's so important for me to find somebody that loves the sport, that just loves playing it. And he goes, and then the third thing for me is, are they hungry? Do they compete? When I watch their film, when I go watch them play, is there a hunger? When you hear those three things, would you add anything to it? Do you disagree with any of those?
No, I mean, for sure, agree. If academics isn't in one of the top three, I think coaches need to take a look in the mirror and realize maybe their values are a little off on what their purpose should be as a college coach,
Right.
But no, I don't agree with that. When you talked about, the hunger of the game, or just the competitiveness, I've changed my recruiting meetings where I like to hear a lot more about the challenges of their life, and the adversities they've gone through. Because, when you step on as a freshman, there's just so much change and adversity that happens right away. And if they really haven't been through much, it's a little bit telling for me how they might react with their first true life challenge. So I really like kids who I've been through this, even a kid who's been through an injury. And I love to hear that story. I'm like, oh man, I love that grit that you just talked about.
Right.
But yeah, one thing that I wish recruits would stop saying is, in letters, I hear a lot of, I want to play volleyball because I've been playing since I was 10. And it's like, well, just because you've been playing the sport forever, that's not a want. I don't want you to just keep going because it's just been in your life.
Yeah.
That's not being hungry. That's just going through the motions of life.
Yeah.
And so that's the answer I hear a lot.
How would you advise them to rephrase that?
I would say I really believe in hard work. I've worked really hard in this sport because I've had a dream of playing college volleyball since I've been 10, something like that. But usually it's just well, I've been playing since I've been 10. So, and with club volleyball, it's been a beautiful thing, but they feed them that message so early now, right? You're 10 years old, you're going to play club, we're going to get you ready for college. And so, are you just saying that story because that story has been told you since you're young, or do you believe in that story?
Right.
Because that's what you truly have wanted.
Yeah.
And there's a difference.
You can hear it in a recruit's voice when they give you that answer. You know if it's genuine or not.
Totally. It's the difference. In our gym, we always say there's a difference between showing up and making a difference.
Yeah.
And every day you need to decide that, and that's hard to do. And so for that player, I'm trying to find that out in the recruiting. Are you coming here because you're just showing up because that's what you've done since you've been 10? Or are you coming here because you want to make a difference?
Yeah.
And what does that look like for you? What difference are you going to make for, how are you going to be significant to this team?
Yeah. Yeah. Families will get on an assessment with me thinking that I'm going to just take them. I'm just going to take them on. I'm going to work with them. And I'm like, that's not how it works. My first question to you is, Mom and Dad, are you fully committed to this?
Yeah.
And Susie, Danny, are you fully committed to playing in college? Now tell me why.
Yeah.
Where does that commitment come from? Okay.
Yeah.
Why is it that you're committed? And if I don't hear, because I love playing, I just love it. I can't imagine not having it. I don't want to be 24 years old going, why didn't I keep playing that thing I love to do? Then I don't want to work with you.
Yeah.
Because 6 months into this, you're going to go, I'm not sure I want to play anymore.
For sure. And that's like the hardest thing a program can have, you know?
Because every coach is going to tell you they're going to push you harder than anybody else has ever pushed you.
Yeah.
And you're going to start getting scared. And if you don't love that, if that doesn't inspire you, you're not ready to play in college. That's why for every 100 recruitable high school athletes, only 7 will ever play in their sport in college. 7%. So if you don't love it and you're not committed to it, where are you at? Right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. And the coaches who will call me who are new, I say, don't be scared to say that in a recruiting meeting. Yeah. Be more scared to not say that. And then you're surprised when they're on your team.
That's right.
You know, so in the recruiting meeting, I'm very honest about like what you'll like about me, what you might not, what our adversities are. Like I always say, the worst thing that can happen is you come here and you're surprised.
Yeah.
Like that is not what I want. So I got to tell you you know, when you join a team, you know, we can't believe that everything's just good and beautiful and rainbows and lollipops. I've got to share the whole story. But quite frankly, I don't want it to be all good because you won't grow then.
That's right.
You know, you need to go through challenges and adversity. So, you know, I always say to new college coaches, I'm like, don't be scared to share the hard because it will be harder if they leave the first year because they had no clue.
Great advice. Great advice. Yeah, I'm the same way. When I interview for a coaching job anymore, I tell them, listen, the players aren't going to like me some days. They're going to be just ready to pull their hair out with me. And mom and dad, there's going to be days where you're not going to like me because I'm going to be pushing the job. You know, you're going to see me really make them work on the floor in games and in practices, and they're going to come home and they're going to be worn out. But I will get them back up. I care about them. You know, I know as a former athlete that what I thought my potential was and what my coach could get me to were two completely different things. And I'm not doing my job as a coach if I don't make you work through what I call the governor. You know, a big 16-wheeler has a governor. That truck won't go faster than 65 miles an hour. You can hammer it, and it's going to slow you down. And all of our bodies and our minds have that. I haven't met a kid yet that didn't have a governor, and I had to push that kid through that. Right?
Oh, for sure. Mm-hmm.
Do you see that with your girls?
Oh, every single one of them.
Yeah.
You know, every single one of them. And it's all different of why that is there. You know, it is all different of what is slowing them down. And so, you know, once again, my word has been perspective this year. My word has been perspective, because I really can't stand the line of kids these days or, you know, separating us from them a lot with those similar lines. And so my word is always like, no, my girls are awesome. They're powerful. They're beautiful. They're strong. It's not them these days. It's just a perspective thing. And so usually what's slowing them down is just a perspective thing of themselves or their teammates or our values, our standards. And I've just got to change the way they're seeing the world or seeing their growth or seeing why I'm pushing them.
Yes.
And so I probably have, I don't know, 1,000 of those conversations a year. You know, coach, you're not encouraging me enough. I don't know if you value me. Okay, well, did you hear me yelling so many things yesterday to you when you were struggling with your pass, you know? Oh yeah, but you didn't after the game. Okay, so I am doing, you know, but it's just like a little perspective of like, well, let's talk about what the after the game looked like for me, you know?
Yeah. It's almost to the point where as a coach, you have to be constantly reinforcing your message to each individual kid.
Yes.
Because it's not going to get heard in the circle. It's not going to get heard in the group. It's not going to get heard in the classroom or the locker room. It has to be one-on-one. And if you're a coach that refuses to do that, boy, you better have a reputation that precedes you. Because if the kids aren't coming in ready to deal with you not being one-on-one with them every day, you're going to have a hard time. Right?
Yeah. Speaking of the repeating, one of the hardest things I experienced as a coach, but man, it was a great eye opener. I had the head wrestling coach come in to give like a talk to my team. I really looked up to him and he asked questions. This was probably after like a year and a half of me taking over. What does coach value? What are the team values? What's your mission? how do you guys, how does she define a successful serve? And I was like, you should know this. And they didn't. They didn't know
It's great,
a
great
lot of
questions.
his questions. And as a
Great.
coach, I was sitting there like,
Yeah.
how do they not know? And that was my fault. So when you say repeat the message, it's like 100,000 times,
Yeah.
like it has to be through the good times, the hard times, from day one to the last day. Even just saying it 10 times is not enough.
Yeah.
So
it's so rewarding when your kids acknowledge that the message is working. Like we're running our system basketball wise, and I have a senior that was just kind of thrown in the dirt pile the last 3 years by the coaching staff. They used him as a center, didn't let him shoot. He was tall and long, but he's skinny, he's athletic. Okay. And I saw him play the first day of our open gym back in April. And I said, Robbie, you're our shooter. I go, if you'll run this route as hard as you can, and you'll sit in that corner when we throw you the ball and you'll shoot. And you're going to have days where you're going to go 1 for 10. You're going to go 1 for 12. But if you'll consistently shoot that ball, I go, you are going to be an all conference player, maybe all state. I go, you're that good of a shooter. He goes, Coach, nobody's ever really let me shoot before. You think I'm going to be all conference? He came to me yesterday. He goes, Coach, you remember what you told me at the beginning of the season? I go, you tell me what I told you at the beginning of the season. You said, if I do this, if I run my route and I shoot the ball with confidence, I'm going to start making them.
Yeah.
I go, yeah, I remember telling you that. And I go, what happened? What's happened? He goes, I'm making them. And I go, are you having fun? He goes, yeah, I'm having fun. Because he gets it. He gets the understanding that if I just listen, okay, and I do what I'm told, and I practice what I'm told, there's going to come a time where I can be innovative, I can be creative, I can play off the map a little bit. But if I just do, and I get really good at just doing what I'm told first, great things happen, right?
That's significant coaching right there.
Sure is.
Well, because what's true is he probably remembers what you said, but until the moment he came to you and said, I'm having so much fun, all those small moments that you showed how you're backing up your words and believing in him, pushing him, coaching him, those words kept having stronger and stronger meaning. That's amazing.
Yeah. And I over talk and over coach, and I've probably told this kid 500 things in the last 6 months. So when he came to me and said, Coach, you remember what you told me? I was like, I have no idea. You tell me. What did I, what one thing did you hear? What one thing did actually get through to your brain?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So and for me, you can have a bad stretch of games, and you can have a bad couple of weeks. And to have one kid, the light bulb goes on, and all of a sudden they figure it out, and all that bad goes away. Do you feel that way?
Oh man, it's the most amazing thing to feel as a coach. Amazing thing. And I always point it out to the players, because I'm like, we've been working on that for a year.
That's right.
A year. And I've tried different cues, and but you keep fighting for it. And they get it, and for not only for the coach, but you see that as a player, they're like, I just did it in a game.
That's right. That's right. And I see it in your games, where your outside hitters come around the setter, and that swing, swing kill.
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched Kaya's teams, the club teams, try and teach that. And, the coaches are just pulling their hair out, the timing and how hard that play is alone, and the middle hitter timing when you want that quick slam. So I can't imagine what you go through to get kids to learn some of that stuff.
Yeah, well, it's just, and it's the belief in that process, because it's such a long process. It's so hard,
Right.
Speaking of middles timings, like last year they would question, because they're like, I still don't get it. The timing's not there. Does the set need to be higher, faster? And I'm like, we need 1,000 reps. You just have to keep giving eye contact to each other. You will find it. We will find it, and then this year they crushed it.
Yes,
but once you get through one of those moments with a player, they believe in the other things you're trying to work through, you know? So now it's like, working on their block. I was like, but remember that swing that we worked on
That's
for
right.
days and you got, right? Once again, once there's an example for them, the progress of it just flows a lot faster because the belief in it is there.
Yeah. And this is so rewarding as a coach when you've figured out how to unlock that. Like I tried this 30 different ways, and finally this way that I taught it, that I just kind of gave up, and I'm like, let's just try this today. And it works, and you get through. And you're like, okay, now I figured it out. Maybe I don't need 1,000 hours. Maybe I can do it in 20 hours if I teach it the right way. You know what I mean?
Yes. Oh, I mean, for sure, but then you'll get another player and they'll make you, you'll do the same thing and it doesn't work. But
exactly.
But that's like kind of the fun part of coaching too, is there's never just one right or wrong way.
Yeah.
And I tell my players that all the time because they come from different clubs and different trainings. And I always say the goal in our gym is not to decide who's right and wrong. The goal in our gym is to make sure we all grow stronger.
That's right.
And we've got to stay creative in our thinking of how we do that.
Yeah. And I'm going to remind you, because it's greatly different.
Yeah.
When you're a female coach compared to a male coach, we can talk all day about equality and fairness, but at the end of the day, I'm never going to have a baby. I'm never going to be the mother of children. I'm never going to have to go through 10 months of pregnancy. And it's really different for a female to a male, because your sacrifices, no matter what we say, are much greater than mine.
Yeah.
So I want you to remember, as you're going through what you're going through right now, those moments of breakthrough, those moments of joy that you're experiencing, and the moments of love for coaching. I don't want you to forget that.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. I want to share a quick story because, I've really gone through my head a lot. Like, could I do this as a mother and a coach,
Yes.
And I ask that question a lot because I want to be the best coach and I want to be the best mother. And I needed to make sure I was capable of that, this season alone, I was throwing up a lot. I was, my energy sometimes wasn't there. And I drew the girls into that journey. I had many conversations with them about it. And I just said, one day when you become a mom, I want to be the person you can look at and say, coach did it and we supported her. And, and then I want to be that person for you in that moment.
Right.
But just this banquet, I had 7 seniors and all 7 speeches thanked Ryan, Ellen, who's my assistant's wife, and our children. And I just thought that was so amazing. Huge. For the human beings they are, and they said, I just want to say thank you because I know coaching us, there's sacrifices to the family. And I'm so thankful you share coach with us. And I just thought, wow, how, I don't know, that just choked me up and made me tear that
it's fantastic.
They have that perspective.
Yeah. It's so important. And, you even see it in Hollywood. A woman will have 3 or 4 great movies and then she'll have a baby and then she'll disappear for 10 years. And it's almost like she's not marketable anymore because she had a baby. People know that she publicly had a baby. And you see it in coaching where, coaches don't get that support after they have a child, or, they've got a marriage that just isn't supportive of those 4 months where you've got to be there every day.
For sure. Yeah.
So it's just really important for families to really understand that coaches are parents. They have lives, they have emotions. We make mistakes, and the more everybody is treating everybody like a human being and as an individual, the more we all grow, the more we all end up getting the result that we want. Right?
For sure. Yes. I mean, how awesome would the world be if we could all just sit back and see each other more as humans than the one identity that they want to put on us, and measure us by.
That's right. Samantha, I love you. I'm so darn proud of you. You've done just amazing work. Your growth in your program and your personal growth and all the obstacles and challenges that have been thrown at you to continue to grow this program and to make it a viral program where everybody wants to just see what you're doing and see how you're doing it. And it's just really impressive.
Well, I appreciate that. I wouldn't be here today without you staying by my side through it all.
Would be.
I'm so excited for your journey, for you to share your wisdom with so many others. I'm not going to lie. I'm sometimes get jealous because you've always been like my wisdom person. No, I'm kidding.
I always
I'm,
will be. I don't know about the wisdom part, but I'm always your
yes,
person.
no, I mean, you're my person for a reason, and I'm really excited for the world that I get to share you now, and they get to hear um, from you what I've gotten here all these years, because I know I wouldn't be standing here today without you pushing and supporting me.
You
So
would be. You would be. You were born to do this, and I love you. So give everybody a hug for me,
I
and
will,
tell them
same.
I miss them, and you and I will definitely talk soon. Thanks for.
Okay. Yes.
Well, there you have it. That was a fun conversation for me. Obviously, it's personal and selfish, but I truly believe that she's one of the best coaches in the country, and I think um, she's doing it her own way. She took over from a coach that she was the assistant for many years, and that coach was brilliant. The coach that she learned from and played under was a brilliant coach and had great success at Platteville, but she's had to rebuild it, and she needed to rebuild it in her own image. So I think she's a great role model for young coaches that are taking over a program that's had success in the past and already has a legacy, and to say, listen, I'm never going to be that coach. I have to be me. I have to be my own coach. And she gave me some great compliments, and I appreciate that. But at the end of the day, what I said is really true. She's brilliant. She would have been at this level whether she had any help or not. She was just built to coach. She was born to be a teacher. She was born to be a leader, and she's been that way since she was a kid. Her brothers and sisters are all unique. She's got 5 brothers and sisters. I love them all. They're all unique in their own way. And all of them have this special quality about them. All of them, you can drop them in a room anywhere on the planet, and they're going to make 25 friends in seconds, just because of their character and their love and their passion and their respect for other people. And they're just fun to be around. And Sam's the epitome of that. So I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. Um, I've been really sick for 3 weeks, so I'm I'm happy that my voice is starting to come back, and I'm starting to feel a little bit better. My team won a big game last night, and we're starting to get healthy as a team. So the fact that I got to share Sam with you, my team's starting to play a lot better. We're starting to kind of meld a little bit. We're starting to understand how to win games. So I'm just feeling really good about sharing some of this with you guys. And I hope it's helping you with all that you're doing with your team, with your family, your recruitment, whatever that may be. I hope you're pulling a nugget out of these podcasts that you're like, okay, that's something that can help me. That's something I can steal, something I can borrow. And please do. Um, if you need anything, you can always go to my website. You can find me at significantcoaching.net and check out my blog. I write a new blog every Wednesday. Check that out. I'm writing for families. I'm writing for teams. I'm writing for coaches. I'm writing for anybody that's just trying to get a leg up and get better at what they do. You've got my Be Significant podcast with my great host, Beth Cook. We had a little break here over the holidays, but every Monday we'll post a new episode with a great significant leader and somebody that's doing something really great in the world. And then you've got my significant coaching podcast where I'm talking to coaches. I'm talking to athletic leaders and people that are making a difference coaching other people and making them better. So check it all out, significantcoaching.net. Please follow if you're enjoying these, subscribe. And I'm going to put out a new episode every Friday. Next week, I'm bringing you the great Mark Murphy from Kalamazoo College, one of the best tennis coaches in the country, and just so smart. And you're going to get so many golden nuggets from Mark, a lot like you heard from Sam today. So thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing this journey with me. And I hope you had a great, great new year. And I'm wishing nothing but the best for all of you for the year of 2024. I know it's going to be great. have great thoughts, be positive, keep putting positive energy out in the world. And I promise great things are coming for you too. Thanks, everybody. Have a great one.